what's up, my wrestling peeps? It's Eric here, your boy, of course, always on the mix. Just, hope you guys had an absolutely lovely week. It's been pretty crazy and pretty hectic for me. I know it's around May, so a lot of people might have maybe like certain people graduating and stuff like that. It's honestly, May is definitely one of my most favorite months of the year, solely because, I'm graduating next week, so I'm pretty excited about that. I also remember like when I was younger and I graduated high school and I'm like, oh my God, that seems like such a long time ago. But also you have May birthdays, the weather's changing. So it's just honestly, May is definitely, they made that song about I've got sunshine in a cloudy day. And he's like, oh, I got the month of May. And it's true. Honestly, probably the best day is probably I'm gonna have this. The best month is probably going to have to be May, but that's just my opinion. Dropping the tips and donations link at the GSMC podcast.net with tell me your favorite month. Who knows? Maybe it might be different. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today lined up for the first time in this podcast history. We will have 5 segments instead of 4. First one, we're going to talk about our Thursday Night Wrestling review. Second one, we're going to talk about WWE Smackdown a little bit. Third one, we're going to go on to WWE is booming all over the world. So we're going to talk about, why and how WWE has kind of become like the greatest professional wrestling sports like spectacle in the world. And then we're going to move on to kind of this, kind of like a dorky little, the ultimate King of the Ring, where I'm going to take 16 past WWE/WWF King of the Ring winners, ultimately kind of put them in like a Sweet 16, kind of like what I did with the wrestling factions. We're going to narrow it down. Today, we will, we're just going to introduce everybody. We're not going to get right on into it just yet. But, definitely promise you guys we will. So today we're just kind of introducing all the participants. And lastly, like what I like to do on Fridays is give you guys the wrestling news roundup. Give you guys some wrestling news to kind of go into the weekend, kind of think about, kind of ponder and stuff like that. So, just to remind you guys, we get a number of questions that come in during the show from viewers like you. So please ensure that your question gets read on air in front of millions of people. Use the tips and the donation link at the GSMCpodcast.net with your questions. Let's put your questions up on top so I can see it. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Tell me what you want to talk about as the audience. Give me your predictions. What do you want to see on SmackDown? Who do you think is the best King of the Ring participant in the history of the WWF? Why do you think WWE is so successful all over the world? Things like that. Definitely love an audience. Definitely love to get to know each other, because we're all wrestling fans. We're, living in, we will always be a family in terms of like professional wrestling. So, like I said, just put your questions up on top, and it really, really does help the show, guys. We love peace, love, and positivity at the GSMC Sports Network. It really helps the show. Again, the link is the GSMC, podcast.net. So let's go ahead and jump right on into our Thursday Night Wrestling review. It was a good one. Ring of Honor and TNA Impact, on May 9th, 2024. I think it's kind of cool that you kind of have the independent, like, well, I don't think they would really be considered as independent, but you kind of have those strong shows. They're kind of like on their own. I know Ring of Honor is kind of like a sister, kind of like a sister brand or promotion to AEW, and then TNA, you kind of have on, the jump in and out of, relationships professionally with AEW. Sometimes you'll see the TNA Impact, champion. It's kind of crazy how you saw Jordan Grace being, how she joined the WWE Royal Rumble. I thought that was crazy. The moment I saw her, I was like, dude, like, what is going on? Is that forbidden door finally open? Is it like an open door policy now so we can all like come together as wrestling fans, as opposed to like, oh, if you're a TNA fan, you should hate WWE, or if you're a WWE fan, you should hate AEW, or if you're an AEW fan, you should look down on WWE because they've wasted so much talent. I'm not saying that that's not a viable argument or legitimate as well, because honestly, I think sometimes I think the same way, that if WWE didn't like basically F up some of these guys' bookings when they got called up from NXT. Like I said before, we had Malachi Black, we had, Keith Lee. and we had Andrade. Andrade, eventually made it back to the WWE roster. But before then, you're like, man, I kind of, I miss these guys. I really honestly miss these guys. So, definitely, yeah, something to get into. So let's go ahead and start. Um, so we saw Taya Valkyrie and Diamante Mercedes Martinez defeated Lady Frost, Layla Hirsch, and Abaddon. We also saw Anthony Ogogo with Shane Taylor Promotions defeating Zicky Dice. I like the name Zicky Dice. Zicky Dice. I think that's actually pretty badass. We had Kyrie Hogan defeating Ashley D Ambrose. That's kind of D Ambrosia, maybe. We have Lance Archer and the Righteous defeat Nikki A, Tom Mars, and Lee. Ring of Honor Women's Television Champion Billy Starks with Athena defeated the Dream Girl Ellie in a proving ground match. We all kind of saw that coming. I love Billy Starks. I think the world of her. I think definitely she's going to be definitely one of the best ones. I'd like to see her and Athena go at it. I know right now they kind of have that MIT, like, it's cool and everything, but pretty soon I would kind of like to see those two girls go at it because, they're two of the top competitors in the professional wrestling industry. And from a guy who absorbs a lot of wrestling content, I'm not just talking the wrestling industry in terms of like Ring of Honor, TNA, New Japan Pro Wrestling. No, 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 no. I'm talking about like we have WWE and AEW as well. So I like how these girls are kind of putting their name on the map solely based on their capabilities of putting on a great show and being good champions. Absolutely, 100%. And then we saw the Spanish Announce Project and Helico and Serpentico defeat Griff Garrison and Cole Carter. So, definitely, pretty cool. You also saw the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions, the Undisputed Kingdom, kind of, do what they had to do. Still, I think they're going to fight Daddy Magic and Cool Hand Angs. Obviously, they got challenged and stuff like that. So that's kind of going to be the next at the pay-per-view coming up for Ring of Honor. But all right, so let's go ahead and move on to our TNA Impact. TNA Impact results of May 9th, 2024. So yeah, so it looks like the system is absolutely running rampant all over in Impact Wrestling. You have Moose, and then you have the tag team guys, the system. So you saw the first class against FBI. I honestly love FBI because I remember seeing them in WWE or WWF back when they were kind of being brought up back during their young days. I thought, FBI, I think TNA Impact is a pretty good place for them. Definitely would love to see them kind of step up and kind of be a little more, but honestly, they're at that age, and I'm not trying to sound like a jerk, that they should get some bookings and they'll probably feel a little complacent. I know shooting for the trios championship or the six match, well, now it's unified. I think, obviously you want to go for the gold. 110% all the way. You want to try to like be all you can be as a wrestler. And even as a booking or even as the organization from a Ring of TNA Impact and stuff like that, like you can't really like, I don't know, you can't really just lie down. And I'm not trying to say that that's what FBI is trying to do, and I'm not trying to say that that's what creative writers are, sabotaging the FBI. No, 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 I'm not trying to say that at all. I'm just, it's kind of nice to see wrestlers just do what they love to do, be passionate. Obviously, everyone can't be champion. Everyone can't be champion, and for that kind of sucks. But maybe down the line, FBI could work, to the point where they, can find themselves in a good position. Next, you saw the Rascals against, Jake Something and Cody Deaner. I love Jake Something. Definitely thought that he was going to, I think he fought the Laredo Kid for the Digital Media Championship. Don't quote me on that. At Under Siege, but ultimately saw the Rascals defeating Jake Something and Cody Deaner. I kind of didn't really want to see. I didn't want to see that, but I feel like he's going to make a comeback. I feel like you haven't seen the end of Jake Something because he's a young guy. He's a young talent. And if TNA Impact has learned anything from their past mistakes, is that you need to start promoting these young guys. So, well, he's young, well, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Next, we have Jonathan Grisham against Will Ferreira. Grisham continues to build momentum. He wins this match again. Definitely see him in a title match pretty soon, sooner than you think. We see ABC losing to Speedball Mountain. I love Speedball Mountain, especially as honorary new members of the Hardy family. Um, I like this win. I like this win. Building up momentum. Those building blocks in terms of wrestling, in terms of momentum, it really honestly does go a long way. So honestly, you got to do what you got to do. Speedball Mountain, I've watched their matches. I've seen clips on, Twitter/X, and they're the real deal. They're the real deal. Definitely, I would have loved to see them beat the Undisputed Kingdom. Obviously, that's didn't really happen. So, all right. So that was my Thursday night, a wrestling review. Hope you guys liked it. We're going to move on to our WWE Smackdown preview, which is airing as we speak. Swear to God, I have not checked up any content. I'm going in blind here, guys. So a lot of these things that I'm probably going to say, it could be correct, or it could absolutely seem just like weird and like it's like, dude, does this guy really say that? Like, dude, like, but ultimately, just stick with me and we'll get through it. So hey, don't go anywhere.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, I'm losing shit. A stupid myth, you choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Reflecting on real quick what we talked about a Thursday Night Wrestling review. We talked about Impact Wrestling. We also talked about Ring of Honor. A lot of good stuff happening right there in Ring of Honor. I'm a little sad I haven't seen Mark Briscoe come back, but the guy recently had a kid, probably on maternity leave. He's representing the championship super well. Love that guy. Definitely a huge fan. But before we move on to our next topic, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Just put your questions up on top so I can see it, so that you can be seen with viewers all over the world who's tuning into this podcast. Wrestling fans worldwide. What is the title? Some of you that says that. But definitely would love to hear from you guys. This podcast is, of course, from the gsmcpodcast.net, but ultimately, as a wrestling fan, as the CM Punk of podcasting. No, I'm just kidding. That's way too controversial. I'm sorry. Let's just rewind. Thank you guys. Remember to use the tips or donations. I'm just kidding. This put your questions up on top. Honestly, positive feedback really honestly does help the show. The negative feedback is a gift first and foremost. I like criticism. I believe criticism will help people kind of propel or, kind of help people become better. And a lot of people nowadays, when it comes to criticism, like anything negative, they're just like, I don't want to hear it. Like, I'm the best. I'm the best podcaster. Colin Cowherd has nothing on me. What are you talking about? Like, the Busted Open podcast is not the GOs. I don't think, dude, it's sports. It's sports, and we're a wrestling podcast. So, once again, would absolutely love to see you guys interact with the show. Honestly, I would love to kind of hear you guys' voices more than mine, because I feel like sometimes I'm just rambling on, just shooting some like wrestling facts all over the screen on the computer screen. So it'd be kind of cool to hear like a different take. Honestly, it's always good to hear something different. Again, the link is to GSMC, podcast.net. So, make sure you, do that. So, all right, let's go ahead and move on here. We're going to talk about WWE Smackdown. WWE Smackdown is live tonight in Mohegan Sun Arena at the Casey Plaza in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Pretty cool. Before we jump into the king of the king of the wing, king of the wing, king of the ring, and the queen of the ring, qualifying matches. Let's go ahead and kind of address that. This is the first SmackDown ever since the official roster lock from the WWE draft, so you can anticipate a lot of what's going to happen tonight is probably going to have a lot of stipulations heading towards Saudi Arabia because Nick Aldis wants to set up his champions, wants an idea of, okay, like, how can I, let's just book these guys. We need these guys to have a place in our roster. So I think Nick Aldis is going to take advantage of the, Triple H as well. Next, we have Logan Paul. Logan Paul, he needs an opponent. He needs an opponent for Saudi Arabia. Probably one of these guys who are going to lose in the first round will try to step up to Logan Paul. Ultimately, Logan Paul, he's been a phenomenal champion ever since he came to the WWE. He's been the best, he was trained by AJ Styles. AJ Styles is definitely one of the best wrestlers in the industry. He had it, TNA, New Japan. He's wrestled all over the world. Definitely deserves that title as world wrestling competitor. So definitely think we're going to find out who's going to fight Logan Paul tonight. And also Bayley. Bayley needs an opponent. She had that triple threat match with Tiffany Stratton and Naomi. Tiffany Stratton, I believe, is she in the Queen of the Ring tournament? I believe she might be. Don't quote me on that. But I know Naomi does. She has a match tonight. She has a big match tonight. And that wasn't like, play on words or anything like that. I'm not trying to be a jerk. But I mean big because like Nia Jax, like she's a tall challenge. She's a tall challenge, man. Good luck trying to fight her, Naomi, tonight. She's pissed. She's angry. She's hungry. Ready for a championship reign. So it might be a bloodbath. Might be a bloodbath tonight. But honestly, if anybody could do it, it could be Naomi, right? Feel the glow. Are we going to feel the glow tonight? Not too sure. But yeah. And next, we're going to find out who Cody Rhodes is going to face in Saudi Arabia at the Queen and the King of the Ring pay-per-view in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Right now, I feel like there's not really anybody that could really challenge him. I think they might perhaps like have like kind of like one of those matches where it's kind of like a proving ground match where it's not really there, but it's like kind of like an unspoken thing where like maybe it who knows, maybe Montez Ford is like, you know what, D'Angelo Dawkins is competing in the King of the Ring, so why don't I try my singles sea legs a little bit. That could be it. Like I said before, it could also be a guy who loses tonight in the the competition. It could be anybody. It could be anybody. So definitely going to be excited to find out who fights Cody Rhodes and who's going to fight him in Saudi Arabia. Next, we're going to move on. We got Paul Heyman and the debut of Tunga Loa. It didn't really go well. Paul Heyman seems like he's lost all control of the bloodline thanks that Roman Reigns is gone. He feels like, and probably this is the case, that Roman Reigns would ultimately disapprove with what's happening within the bloodline right now. And when he comes back, he's going to be mad. He's going to be mad. He's going to want Solo Sikoa's head, causing kind of like a wedge in between the bloodline, working for that, Civil War bloodline storyline that we'd love to see where Roman Reigns goes and he tries to, get the old school bloodline. Now you have this new young bloodline. You have Tama Tonga, Solo Sikoa, and you have Tunga Loa. Still in the wakes, you see Jakob Fatu, but ultimately he hasn't made his debut in WWE yet. We'll get into that later, as of why. But honestly, this is cool. This is cool the way they're setting this up slowly, building blocks after building blocks. That's kind of what you need to do. And a lot of the problems that was Vince McMahon, and that was during his reign, and he would just butt into the creative writing and stuff like that. And sometimes things would just like shoot you in the face and you would have to accept it. And you're like, okay. But then as a wrestling fan, you're like, wait, like, how did we get to this? How did we get to this, match stipulation? Or how did we get to this main event? Sometimes, you just build it up, build it up, build it up. Look at what happened with Cody Rhodes. It took 2 WrestleManias, 2 Royal Rumbles, but ultimately he finished his story. And honestly, it was probably one of the best wrestling stories in all of professional wrestling. So, definitely still have faith with Paul Levesque. So, go ahead and jumping on into this King of the Ring. We have Randy Orton against AJ Styles. Honestly, I feel both competitors don't really need this, and I feel like this competition isn't really for them. But I feel like maybe the loser might fight Logan Paul or, Cody Rhodes try to. So honestly, I'm going to see Randy Orton win. I pick Randy Orton. I think, you put the seasoned veteran in the second round to fight against the young guy. So love AJ Styles. Definitely love AJ Styles. He had an amazing match with Cody Rhodes at Backlash in France. That's something that can't be ignored. So I don't know. Maybe he tries to challenge Cody again. Like, we don't know. That obviously they tore the roof off in Backlash. So anything could happen. I would love to see that match as well. Next, we have D'Angelo Dawkins. D'Angelo Dawkins has assumed the spot from Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley was, injured training this week, so he's gonna fight Toma Tonga. Ultimately, I feel like both of these competitors aren't going to win the King of the Ring. So honestly, I feel like this is kind of like building toward like the Bloodline versus the Pride kind of storyline a little bit. So I don't know. I feel like that would be pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. And then we have Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin takes on Carmelo Hayes. I kind of wish that they would have separated these guys because both of them are coming up from NXT. Or, you also see Baron Corbin making his way back into the roster. And I'm not trying to, be a little like, I don't know how to explain it, but like ultimately, you kind of need to take this thing, Baron Corbin coming back slowly. You need to take it slowly. You need to take it, one step at a time because this guy was once on the WWE roster. People saw that. People understand that he went back. He went to NXT and I just really hope that they don't destroy his bookings because ultimately WWE created under the Vince McMahon era. I guess there was a falling out between Vince and Baron, which ultimately caused Baron to lose his Money in the Bank challenge when he like cashed in, and it was just nasty. It was nasty, basura. But you know, hopefully they do it right. Hopefully they do it right by Baron Corbin. I like that he's kind of like assumed this role as the lone wolf. That should have probably stuck longer than this money, this happy Corbin. And King Corbin was cool. And then you had corporate Corbin, where he was the general. Like, it's just crazy. This guy's a former, like, boxing, he's like a master. Like, he's a Golden Gloves winner. He has a lot of, he played football before. So this guy, when he came to WWE, I felt like maybe he wasn't really expecting this turn. But hopefully Paul Levesque rejuvenates his career, which is possible. Definitely would be possible. I would love to see Baron Corbin hold a title. It'd be cool to see him fight Logan Paul in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. That'd be badass. That'd be super badass. Honestly, I can't really give you guys a winner of this match because both these guys really honestly need this. But based on experience, I feel like I think Corbin's gonna win. I think Corbin's gonna win, although Hayes is very, very, very impressive. And it wouldn't surprise me if he does move on to the next round. But next, we have the Queen of the Ring. Queen of the Ring, we have our first match. We have Bianca Belair against Candice LeRae. Not really much, going into this that much. Belair is going to win. She's going to move on. Next, we have Jade Cargill against Piper Niven. This is a tricky one because Piper she's huge. And I don't mean like huge, huge. I mean like she's very strong. She's very strong. She's very like, her physicality is unmatched and it's crazy. It's crazy. Like, she's a powerhouse. Definitely a powerhouse that should be recognized. It'd be nice to see Piper Niven move on, but maybe this is what they're trying to do to kind of build up a wedge in between Jade and Belair. Maybe they fight in the finals as the WWE Women's World Tag Team Champions against each other, the Queen of the Ring. And then, like, whoever wins, like, whoever loses turns heel, be like, I don't want these championships. You're not my tag team partner. And then the titles go vacant. And then they have like a tournament or like just something that'll like crown our new WWE World Women's Tag Team title. I think that'd be pretty dope. If that's what they're trying to do, for these women, I'm for it. But if not, you gotta have a purpose. You always gotta serve a purpose. Next, we have Naomi and Nia Jax. We kind of talked about this a little earlier, that Naomi has her hands full with the irresistible force. Nia Jax. Nia Jax, she's, like I said, she's pissed, she's angry, she's competitive. She wants to cement her legacy in WWE. And I believe she does deserve something better. I definitely think Nia Jax, but in the past with WWE, with the kind of like the giants, like the Big Show, You have Braun Strowman, and I believe like sometimes even Keith Lee. Like sometimes it's hard to book them in matches because how massive they are. And I mean that like, I'm not trying to be like I'm not trying to be a jerk. Their physicality, they're larger than life. They're larger than life. They're great competitors. But like when you kind of see big guys like that in the ring, or you as a wrestling fan, you can kind of see it and you're like, man, like how can anybody beat those guys? And when somebody does beat them, you kind of be like, man, why did they let it's like you kind of see through the bull spit and stuff like that. Bookings when it comes to bigger athletes, it's hard. It's hard, especially in the WWE, especially with these superstars, because just because they're bigger doesn't necessarily mean that they're slower, doesn't necessarily mean that they're not, ready for to perform in ring moves or capabilities or something like that. Ultimately, you're a wrestler. You're out there trying to get yours, and I definitely understand where these wrestlers come from. But I would love to see Nia Jax win this whole thing. So I'm gonna say Nia Jax moves on to the Queen of the Ring round two to fight. I don't know who she's gonna fight. It'd be interesting to kind of see her and Belair go at it. But sometimes you can't always get what you want. You can I'm just kidding. So next we have WWE is booming. We're gonna get into this segment where WWE is absolute powerhouse in entertainment all over the world. We're gonna talk as of why, as of kind of like where WWE is at right now. So hey, don't go anywhere.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
All right, all right, all right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Just to kind of reiterate what we talked about a segment when we talked about our Thursday Night Wrestling preview, what's happening in the world of TNA, what's happening in the world of Ring of Honor, all of that and some sorts. And our segment 2, we talked about WWE Smackdown happening live right now in Pennsylvania. Can't wait to watch it. Can't wait to give you guys some, live reactions, on YouTube. So make sure you, look up the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast and, comment. Absolutely love it when people comment, So sometimes I'm like doing these things on a little silly. As you can tell, I'm kind of like a dorky, weird, kind of out of the box individual. But honestly, as wrestling fans, I feel like, y'all understand where I'm coming from. But that we're just, that kind of person. That I have kids too. So, sometimes being dorky kind of works in my favor. They laugh, we have great times that we remember for the rest of our lives. So, absolutely not, let's put a smile on people's faces. Remember to be kind to each other, be generous toward each other, because during this world, everybody kind of wants to go out and get their own, but ultimately it's us as a world that needs to bind together to, make some changes for the better in terms of, society. But that's not what this podcast is about. It's about wrestling. So let's get back to some wrestling. Remember guys to use the tips and donations link always at the GSMC podcast.net. Give me what you like, tell me what you don't like, tell me I suck. No, please don't tell me I suck. No, I'm just kidding. No, I can handle it, sort of. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to our next segment. WWE is booming. Bam! What is up? Instant graphics, love it. So what made me kind of want to make a segment about this was that WWE Backlash was absolutely off the hook. It was a bona fide banger. If obviously from Sheamus, be like banger after banger after banger. Like I love that, with Sheamus. But then recently, Drew McIntyre was like, burger after. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's messed up. That's not messed up, dude. I mean, that's messed up, but let's move on. So like I said, Backlash was crazy. Definitely set an attendance record. You saw the arena shaking during that match with AJ Styles and Cody Rhodes. Um, International, like WWE has gone international. They're worldwide. They're all over the world. And sometimes I don't know. I believe, and I solely believe this, that I feel like when WWE travels across seas or to the neighboring country in Canada, it's kind of like exclusive. Like usually you have shows like Monday Night Raw, live events, all that. You don't really get that a lot. You don't really get that a lot in the UK. So when they make like these things where they have like a UK tour, they're gonna pay whatever they can to attend this event. Like, and WWE knows how to manipulate that in order to have success. And that's not, not talking bad about WWE. Say they prey on people who, hardly see the show. But that's just business. That's just business. If you can't understand that, sometimes, it just needs to be talked about. I'm just kidding. So, and like the fans get into it so much more. They get into it way more than, United States fans. And like I said before, I'm not trying to lay an egg on United States fans, but like sometimes like during the show, I don't know if it's because we have more opportunities to watch WWE, but you just see people like just sitting there not getting too crazy. Like, I don't know, you just don't see them interacting enough, or like, I don't know if because how America, I feel like our society in America, we are more like shy, I guess you can say. Or like we have like more boundaries and we're afraid to kind of, we're kind of sometimes afraid to kind of be ourselves. Be ourselves. It's okay to be dorky. It's okay to be weird. It's okay to be part of a fandom that you feel, very passionate about, to the point where like you're jumping up and down, yeah, 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 yeah. My kids are, they're into K-pop and stuff like that, so they're listening to BTS and like Blackpink and stuff like that. Me, I don't understand it, but they go crazy over it, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. You never ever, and I'm not, it's important to kind of believe in something bigger than yourself. And I'm not trying to say that mostly because I know in America we are, we kind of practice like individualism in terms of, our society and our goals and stuff like that. But I don't know. I just feel like sometimes, like when the WWE goes across seas, people are just enjoying it more. People are just enjoying it more, and WWE's like, you know what? That's cool. That's cool. So why don't we go over there a little bit more? Why don't we like go to Puerto Rico? Why don't we go to the UK? Why don't we go to Germany? Why don't we go to Scotland? Why don't we go to Saudi Arabia? Why don't we go to France and hold this badass like event like Backlash was? And it was cool. It was cool. So WWE has had multiple pay-per-views in other countries such as Scotland, Puerto Rico, Saudi Arabia, and even Canada. Without a doubt, definitely wrestling is popular. The promotion, in terms of WWE, is just worldwide, man. The WWE is live in over 180 countries. Wow, that's insane. They expanded with other markets such as American football. You see, obviously, The Rock in terms of, the XFL, well, now the UFL. And then you see them in films. We're actors now. Roman Reigns is filming a movie. The Rock is filming a movie. Randy Orton, The Miz. Everyone's Becky Lynch. Everyone's kind of been in a movie, man. These guys are like, their public relations, like it's expanding. It's expanding. It's pretty crazy, but it's also really, really cool at the same time. And now recently with UFC and Endeavors, like it's just booming. WWE is getting absolutely crazy. It's getting out of hand, but in a good way. 40% of WWE's audience in 2020 were women, which is pretty cool. Streaming viewership is up by 29% from 2023. Outside of the US, most of WWE's audience is from the UK, Canada, Germany, and of course, India. So it should be pretty badass. SmackDown's viewership increased by 9.7%. The final episode of SmackDown in 2022 drew a record of 63 million viewers. That's absolutely crazy. That's wild. That's WWE though. That's, they know what to do to kind of put the butts in the seats, so to speak. So yeah, honestly, I think it's badass. Good for them. WWE has an estimated 1 million subscribers, of course. Some of the main reasons why WWE is so popular, why people love professional wrestling is one, the stars. Agree. I agree. It's nice to see, Cody Rhodes. It's nice to see Becky Lynch. I loved seeing Rhea Ripley. You see Damian Priest in the Judgment Day. Love Finn Balor. Love The Miz. People that are absolutely like the moment they go into the ring, the spotlight is on them, like John Cena was, like CM Punk before he left. You had Shawn Michaels, Triple H. You had Bret Hart. You just have these guys, Hulk Hogan, absolutely, absolutely awesome, deserves respect. So major respect. The promos, love a good promo. Oh my god, I love a good promo. On Wednesday nights, Dynamite in AEW, Willow of Nightingale, her promo against not Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, heading toward Double or Nothing. It was great. It was great. If you have free time, check it out. It's probably on YouTube. Willow Nightingale, like the way she cut a really good promo to the fact where I was like, it changes people's opinion. It changes people's audience, changes audiences, perspectives. And honestly, the creative writers in AEW probably were paying attention to that. And you're like, you know what? If we ever had any doubt or if we ever had any, reasons that we're going to put this title on Mercedes Moné, we're going to second guess that. We're going to think about it. We're like, man, this girl, like, she knows how to draw a crowd. She definitely knows how to draw a crowd. And I saw on AEW Dynamite that Willow of Nightingale absolutely killed it. Killed it. No, it was good though. It was good though. And then we have because of the wrestlers' crazy athleticism, you see these guys flying through the ropes, pretty badass, jumping on the tables, ladders, and chairs. Also the drama, of course, storylines. Yeah, those are the top 5 reasons why people become WWE or professional wrestling fans. So in 2017, the average WWE fan was about 47 years old, and obviously it's changed. It's changed. I think right now it kind of varies from like you see the little kids in the crowd, absolutely adorable, but you kind of have like a range from like 25 to 50 now. Professional wrestling, guys, although it is scripted, and people are like, oh, WWE's fake, yada, 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 I don't want to watch that trash. It's still entertainment. It's still entertainment. If you pass up going to a WWE event, you're missing out, man. You're missing out because these people, these superstars, these athletes are larger than life, and it's a must see. It's also very, very fun to attend a WWE event. Take it from me. I've been to a whole lot of them. I'm definitely due for another one. So, definitely WWE is booming. So, yeah, let's go ahead and, call it a break right there. Hope you guys like my third segment. We have 2 more coming up. Time is coming up and rolling by, but we'll get through it. So, stay tuned.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
All right, all right, all right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Just to kind of reflect on what we talked about our Thursday Night Wrestling review, Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor. And then we moved on. We talked about a WWE Smackdown preview. We also talked about how WWE is booming all over the world in certain demographics that has made them successful and why they are successful. And we have a chat right now. We have Jakob Robinson. I'm doing really good, man. I'm very, I'm awesome. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're going to have an amazing Mother's Day weekend, my man. So, stay tuned for the show. Keep commenting. Tell me how you feel about this next segment, which is who is the Ultimate King of the Ring? Who's going to be the Ultimate King of the Ring, guys? I don't know. Just kidding. No, maybe I know. Maybe I know. But to be honest, it's kind of hard to do some of these competitions because it's like, I don't know. You'll see. You'll see. So let's go ahead and start from the beginning. Bam. Who do we have first? We have Xavier Woods. Xavier Woods Love him in the New Day. Absolutely think that he's going to he could be a singles competitor, but you should never ever break up the New Day. And that's just kind of how I feel about things. If you agree with me, let me know. If not, I don't know. The way he won the championship or the King of the Ring, he was King Woods. And I kind of like, you could tell that he was total like into this. He was a dork about it. Awesome. So coming in, we have in that second spot, we have Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin made his jump back into the main roster in the WWE Draft 2024. Definitely hope that WWE does a lot more big things with this guy. He's a big athlete. He's definitely he deserves better. He always has deserved better. I might be a little bit more high on Corbin than a lot of you guys are, but honestly, I feel like he deserves more WWE. In our third spot, we have our third competitor. We have the Bad News Barrett, Wade Barrett. Love Barrett, especially in the Nexus and stuff like that. Made John Cena's life an absolute living hell. Eventually, they would go on fight the Shield, but obviously he does commentary right now, and I love him. I think it's he's going to be a good competitor in this Sweet 16. So Wade Barrett is at our 3 spot. Can't wait to see who he's going to face. It's gonna, I'm gonna try to randomize it as much as I can. Next we have Sheamus. Sheamus recently made a comeback to the WWE after suffering a neck injury. Kind of sucks for Sheamus. Love Sheamus. But I think gradually he's going to get back to where he was or where he's absolutely supposed to be. Love Sheamus. Banger after banger after banger. So Sheamus is definitely going to be in that 4 spot, guys. Definitely going to be in that 4 spot. So, look forward to the Celtic Warrior absolutely dominating this competition. I'm just kidding. Maybe. But that's a big ass maybe. I'm just kidding. Next we have William Regal. William Regal, definitely during the late, not late, I want to say early 2000s. This guy was a nuisance. Every single time he would win, he was just like that. I don't know. Like, he was that punctual person, classy, and he would take a crap on blue collar workers because he was all famous and stuff like that. But William Regal was there at our number 5 spot. Next we have Booker T. Booker T, the five-time WCW champion, former World Heavyweight champion, is in that 6th spot. So it should be obviously King Booker. And he was the World Heavyweight Championship at the same time. Definitely one of the best. Honestly, he is the best wrestler to come out of WCW, the Jim Crockett Promotions. Well, because they had a partnership and stuff like that. But Booker T is definitely a legend. He's a Hall of Famer twice. He's going to go far in this tournament. And we have Brock Lesnar, spot number 6. It's going to be hard to beat down Brock. Brock Lesnar is definitely one of the best wrestlers, definitely one of the best athletes in combat sports. He went to UFC, and a lot of the times you saw, I think Bobby Lashley also tried UFC, Batista, CM Punk. Ultimately, MMA wasn't really their cup of tea, but Brock Lesnar did good. Brock Lesnar was able to win the championship, so yeah, and then our last competitor in our first bracket, we have Edge. Edge, the Rated R Superstar. This is kind of like what a lot of this, bracket and this tournament that I'm going to talk about is because, a lot of these superstars winning the King of the Ring has definitely ultimately propelled their career to the point where they are right now. Obviously, you see Edge having a lot of success. He had a lot of success in the WWE, but now you kind of see him as Adam Copeland in the AEW. He's the current TNT champion, holding the Cope Opens weekly. So, honestly, it's going to be hard to beat down, Edge in this competition. But, anything could happen. Absolutely anything could happen. So, yeah. Move on to our bracket number 2. Bracket number 2. We're going to go ahead and talk about our bracket number 2 as soon as, this wants to work for me. So, all right, here we go. So, at that first spot, we have a bracket 2 is Kurt Angle, the Olympic gold medalist. No shock here to see how far Kurt Angle can go. Sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. Next, we have Mr. Ass, Billy Gunn, the man. Love Billy Gunn. I love him as, in wrestling. He's kind of done it all. WWF, WWE, AEW right now. Also, he's with the Acclaimed. Recently lost that dynasty for the Trios Championship, but I think he can always bounce back. But, this kind of helped. I feel like Billy Gunn is definitely one of those superstars that could have been pushed a little bit more back in his heyday, but ultimately it didn't really happen. Next in that 3 spot, we have Ken Shamrock. Ken Shamrock is kind of like the opposite. This is kind of like when MMA fighters started to get interested in the WWE. Some talent that followed Ken Shamrock, like, you saw Ronda Rousey, we saw Matt Riddle, and we also saw Shayna Baszler come from the UFC to WWE/WWF. So, love Ken Shamrock. Definitely think he's going to go far in my tournament. Next, we have the main man, Paul Levesque himself. Triple H, and I know that I told you guys that I'm a huge Triple H fan, but don't make that think that he's going to win this very easily. I'm just kidding. No, but I'm going to try to be as biased as possible. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm trying not to be biased. I love Triple H. I love the way his career ended up, especially after winning the King of the Ring. But it's going to be hard, especially with competitors like this guy. I don't know who I would choose if it was Stone Cold versus Triple H, and determining who is the best King of the Ring winner of all times in terms of in-ring capabilities, what happened after they won the King of the Ring, and ultimately where they ended up after their career ended. You know what I mean? Like, it's gonna be kind of, it's gonna be kind of hard to beat out these 2 superstars. I love Stone Cold Steve Austin. Absolute, like, I feel like the Attitude Era is not here, has never been created without the, Stone Cold Steve Austin and that Vince McMahon, kind of rivalry there. Next we have Mabel. Love Mabel. A little bit before my time, but I remember him in the Undertaker's faction. He was Viscera. He also Big Daddy V when he started making a comeback. The late great Viscera, the late great Mabel, the late great Big Daddy V. Loved seeing him. He was the world's largest love machine. I thought that was pretty badass. Next we have Owen Hart. Owen Hart, once again, another legend, another late great. Definitely, I love Owen Hart, and obviously, I feel like without that tragic, incident, costing him his life, he definitely would have been more than. Not, I'm not trying to, crap on his career or anything like that, but it was starting off. It was starting off, and obviously things ended tragically. Kind of sucks, but in this tournament, he's gonna go far because he's an amazing competitor. Owen Hart was he's the best technical wrestler besides this man right here, his brother Bret Hart. These guys would go at it in the ring constantly. I kind of liked how, they were in a tag team, the Hart, Dynasty, the Hart Foundation. Like, these guys are trailblazers for WWE, created this kind of, this phenomenon of professional wrestling that got people into it. So you can bet your ass that WWE would not be where they are right now without Owen Hart and this man right here. Bret Hart is going to, assume that last number 8 spot in bracket 2 for this, who is the ultimate King of the Ring. Bret Hart, obviously, his accolades in his illustrious career kind of speak for themselves. This, the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. Absolutely can't wait to get into this tournament on our next show. But before time runs out, we're running very, very short. Let's go ahead and take another break. Ultimately, All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Just kind of reflect on what we talked about. We talked about our Thursday Night Wrestling review. We also talked about, Smackdown. We talked about how WWE is booming all over the world. Pretty sick. And, and we also talked about my new tournament that I'm going to talk about. We have Sweet 16. We have 16 competitors lined up to find out who is the best WWF, King of the Ring. So definitely can't wait to get into more of that. But before we move on, we also talked about now we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on because we are running short of time. Absolutely love being here with you guys, but sometimes it's it has to move on. I don't want to jump into anybody's showtime, but yeah. So yeah, let's go ahead and move on. Let's get this thing started as soon as this kind of works with me here. All right, so we're going to talk about our wrestling news around us. Before I leave you guys going into to the weekend, just want to give you guys some wrestling news to kind of, ponder about, to kind of think about. And ultimately, it's beneficial for everybody to watch this segment because, what's better than going around with your wrestling friends and be like, you know what? I remember that boy E talking about the wrestling news that we need to, kind of know jumping into the weekend. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get on into it. First we have Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley has been removed from the King of the Ring, ultimately replaced by his confidant, his friend, his protege from the Street Profits and the Pride, D'Angelo Dawkins. So it's been said that he suffered an injury during training and he's not medically cleared to compete. Like I said before, I feel like this match between Tama Tonga and Dawkins is going to, kind of create a feud between the bloodline and the Pride. And I really honestly don't want to see Bobby Lashley kind of get, kind of be scapegoated to kind of help Solo Sikoa's career kind of, propel forward, because honestly, beating a guy like Bobby Lashley will propel Solo Sikoa's career and it'll just make him look better. Ultimately, I hope that does not come to surface, but like I said, I've been wrong before. Next, we have good old JR's comment toward Jerry Lawler's recent WWE Legend contract not being renewed. So people believe that this is really honestly probably the end of the Vince McMahon era. Triple H is kind of cleaning house here. The old company is officially dead, which is what the public is saying. And JR had this to say about his friend. He said, "I felt bad about this week. News about Lawler, my partner. I don't think that he and I have worked our last match together," which is kind of cool. Like, do you think Jerry Lawler would end up in AEW? I think it would be pretty badass to see that. Imagine seeing Jerry the King Lawler, but then you would, you have Schiavone. You also have, you have Taz. Like, maybe during pay-per-views there could possibly be maybe some kind of correlation or some kind of work or something like that could work out, but ultimately I just don't want to, I don't see it really happening or anything, but it could happen. Crazier things have happened, kids, so yeah, so moving on, we have Jakob Fatu's WWE debut has been prolonged because WWE is trying to build up Solo Sikoa. They thought bringing in Fatu or Jakob too fast could ultimately kind of outshine Solo Sikoa. So now you're going to see Solo take on competitors. I still feel like Jacob's probably going to make his debut at SummerSlam because you're going to see Solo Sikoa in a lot of action. You're going to see him winning a lot of matches just so they can, because he's impressive. Jakob Fatu, he's definitely impressive. The MLW World Heavyweight Champion, and successes like that can't just be ignored. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with that. And like I said before, this kind of needs to happen because so far Solo Sikoa, at least in my eyes as a wrestling fan, has been kind of a loser. He was on a losing streak and didn't win a match as of last week from WrestleMania 39 against John Cena. Like, dude, like you need, I don't know. Like I said, like this needs to happen. And like I said before, I hope Bobby Lashley isn't going to be kind of like a reason to kind of build up Solo Sikoa's career, because Solo Sikoa defeating people like Bobby Lashley would be absolutely, it would propel his career. It would also kind of help the bloodline kind of get a little situated, kind of like help them get into that world where you are going to see a civil war between the bloodline, where Roman gets Jimmy and Jay to fight against Tongaloa, and Solo Sokoa. So that definitely could be it could be pretty cool. It could be pretty cool. So then moving on, we have our next news story with Jacye Jane. Jacye Jane has suffered a broken nose in her match against Thea Hale on the WWE NXT Spring Break in week 2, which is when she tweeted, "The comeback is always greater than the setback." In WWE NXT, you see Jasmine Nix looking to get revenge on Thea Hale. That's why I think maybe Thea Hale won't go as far into this WWE NXT World, Women's North American Championship, because I feel like they're kind of building her up with kind of like with Nix and Hale going at it. I feel like those two women competitors are gonna absolutely they're gonna tear the house down. They're gonna tear their house down. It's gonna be a lot of animosity, a lot of personal, a lot of anguish and stuff like that. So it should be pretty interesting to see what happens. Obviously, I hope Jacye Jane makes a speedy recovery. Hopes that she makes it back to the WWE roster. She'll be back in a couple months, so can't wait for that. And lastly, we're gonna talk about WWE. WWE has reported that they still have a very strong relationship with the government of Saudi Arabia after Vince's departure. Vince McMahon has sold all of his TKO stock. He's gone. He's out. He's absolutely out of WWE. Has no stock in it whatsoever, which is kind of crazy. And honestly, I like it. I honestly do like it. I kind of have no, and I know this is cultural, barriers and stuff like that. But when the women fight in Saudi Arabia, I remember watching Selena Vega against Natalia, and they were wearing, basically they weren't showing any skin and stuff like that. I get it, it's your country and stuff like that. But I read an article that some of the women in WWE, well, this was kind of back during the Vince McMahon era, were kind of upset that it seems like Vince didn't really step up to the government of Saudi Arabia, kind of saying hey, we're wrestlers. We came here to entertain these guys, and I feel like what they do with the women in their culture might be a little problematic or something like that. But ultimately, I feel like it's like I said, it's a cultural miscommunication. It's a cultural miscommunication, classic one. They have 2 events at each year with Saudi Arabia, so I don't think this partnership's going to go away anytime soon. And a lot of people think that just because Saudi Arabia doesn't really, just because they don't let the girls kind of wear whatever they want. But I just feel like, I know it's their culture. It's their culture. The way that they, view women is that they want them, they're respectable. They're respectable. They're obviously in society and stuff like that. It's, kind of hard to grasp, especially if you're American, because if you're American, you walk down the street and see some of the outfits that these girls are wearing. It's, maybe sometimes, maybe covering up a little bit more would, kind of be a little better in terms of, maybe we should kind of, no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But yeah, so that was my 5th segment. Like I said, it's kind of the first time of me doing 5 segments here. So hopefully I didn't ramble on too much. But want to thank you guys once again for watching the show. Definitely couldn't make it without you guys. Absolutely love my audience. Absolutely love the people involved with the GSMC Sports Network. So yeah. All right. So guys, thank you once again for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button for the show. And remember to leave a positive review here at the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast and the GSMC Sports Network. We love peace, love, and positivity, baby. All the way. All the way. And it really does make a difference, guys. Like I said before, this podcast, this network is nothing without you guys. The audience is the most important thing, So, we also invite you guys to follow us on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter/X, and Instagram for more content and updates. Like I said before, if I haven't made you guys a wrestling fan by now, just remember that I love you guys. But if you're into, I'm watching, Hugh J and his comments, and, entertaining, my friend. Definitely entertaining. But if I haven't made you a wrestling fan by now, remember we have my boy Nelson on basketball. The NBA is heating up in terms of the playoffs. We also have Emron on soccer. We have our new Hoops and Heels podcast with Samantha. Sports with Jeremy, TJ. And we have the Andrew Tate show, football with Ken. Like, we just have shows after shows after shows, guys. Remember that, we are family here at the GSMC Sports Network. Be a part of this bloodline or regret it for the rest of your life. I'm just kidding. No, that was dark. Now that was dark. I'm just kidding. But anyway, guys, thank you too much for tuning into my show. Hope you guys have a lovely weekend. It's gonna be Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the beautiful mothers out there. This world would be nothing without you. Your kids definitely appreciate you. For me, I kind of lost my mother at a young age. My mother mostly kind of raised me, so I kind of feel like she raised me to be like a respectable man. And mothers out there, you're killing it. Keep killing it. Keep doing your thing. Just know that your hard work is appreciated. You're loved. You're definitely going toward mother. I feel like Mother's Day really outshines Father's Day. Am I weird to say that? And I'm not. No, I don't want to start a debate. Let's just say have a good weekend. Enjoy your Mother's Day weekend. And hey, join me again next week, Monday through Friday, the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast. Have a good night.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.